Everyone, and welcome to Hanover Nonsense. I am your host, GZ, and I would like to start off by introducing this concept to everybody. This audio-only set of videos is intended to elaborate on the goings-on on Hanover's campus. And what I mean by that is I will go out to various events that are being hosted on campus that have a more, shall we say, social justice feel. I will go to them, take notes, and bring my criticisms back here to this show, of course. This will be a little bit more structured than a lot of my other videos. However, for this pilot episode, I am relying on notes that I have inscribed upon my left hand and arm. So hopefully next time I will have something a little bit more substantive. As for the name of this show, I have decided to call it Hanover Nonsense as opposed to Hanover Stupidity because I still maintain some faith in the campus community that things can be turned around and that real, actual progress and development can happen. As for what I mean by that, I'm not entirely sure yet, but we do need to turn away from certain practices on campus that may harm the campus's reputation in the future. For an example, see Evergreen State College. But on to the subject at hand today. So, this week in Senate, it was revealed to the senators and org reps and everybody else in the room that a Board of Trustee member had had donated a large sum of money to the college for a scholarship. The ramifications or conditions, I suppose, of this scholarship were that the scholars were two. The first being that the scholarship must be called something to the variety of the Mike Pence Scholarship. The second of these conditions is that a portrait of our current vice president must be put up somewhere on campus. Naturally, as you might expect, this caused a stir in the Senate room at the time, as many of the non-straight community who were present there were perturbed by this, to say the very least. Personally, my opinion on this is that we should allow for the scholarship to exist on campus with conditions intact. And I say that and I also want to go off of one of the people who spoke up in Senate and said that this is a scholarship helping to pay for somebody's higher education. And an argument later down the line was made that we should not have this scholarship because of principle. Now, I'm going to jump over to the internet very quickly just to double check the dictionary definition of principle, just to make sure that I don't misdefine it. However, if I'm correct, and I could be wrong, of course, I think that a showing of principle would be to accept the scholarship, and then if you are a member of the non-straight community and you feel that it goes against your principles to accept this money, you contact the financial aid office and decline it. Now, as for the dictionary definition of principle, through a cursory Google search, I have principle, noun. A fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. I believe that the argument made that it goes against principle is sound. However, I do not believe it goes against campus principle. And I say this because not everyone on campus is of one mind. And I'm not just speaking for myself. There are those students on campus who are more moderate, and there are also those who are more extreme. It is not a stretch of the imagination to say that both groups, and in between, do not share the same ideas. I'm sure there are many on campus who would be grateful to receive money from a scholarship, even if it comes attached to the name of our vice president. That being said, the primary issue is not with the fact that it is the vice president whose name is attached to this. It is the connotations that come with the vice president being yes. So being someone who is not espoused, I'm trying to sound intelligent. I shouldn't be doing that. being Mike Pence is someone who has achieved some level of infamy for his statements regarding non-straight people, and that has somewhat there's a stain with that, especially in today's more tolerant and accepting world in some areas. However, like I said previously, I do believe that a better show of principle rather than the campus denying this money outright is for any non-straight person who feels this way to deny that money. I understand that this goes against the general consensus that was reached in Senate. However, I also think that doing so, denying that is, provides an opportunity that I think a lot of people in the Hanover activist community would jump at. And that chance is that when you get back to campus after your finances are in order and whatnot, you can come to campus and tell people that you denied accepting the Mike Pence scholarship. It is a perfect chance to virtue signal. And I understand I sound a little bit venomous when I say that, and I mean it that way. The denial of money to pay for someone else's higher education on the basis of your principles, denying others that money, is not right. It is not right. However, I should also point out that the conditions for the scholarship are a little bit strange. Namely the second one with the portrait. I understand the first one, wanting to name it after the vice president, as he is an alumni of Hanover, but what I don't understand is the second condition. I would need to acquire more information for that, but in that instance, I do take the side of the campus. I am not entirely sure why a portrait of our vice president would need to be put up anywhere on campus, even if he is an alumni. It would be understandable if Mike Pence was the president of the United States and a Hanover alum, but he's not. He's the vice president. As for where to put this portrait, it was brought up in Senate as a joke, namely to put up the portrait in the Fiji House. I don't actually know their Greek name. It's inconsequential, because I believe that Mike Pence, during his time here at Hanover, was a Fiji. Now, this was brought up as a joke, but I do believe it has some merit, because without the Fiji suggestion, the question becomes where to put such a portrait. But I also see a problem with putting it up in Fiji. The first being that I am fairly certain that Fiji owns their own building, so they could outright say no. I am fairly certain I'm wrong on that, but I am open to the possibility of it being true. Secondly, and this could be false, but this second point that we're about to make is based entirely on rumors that I had heard last year. But I did hear that the Fiji house was quite populated, as it were, by closet gays. Now, given the negative association between Mike Pence and the non-straight community, I don't think this would be a good idea. However, I did say that was based on rumors. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or false. Based on what I've heard about the Fijis, honestly, it could go either way in my mind. However, no, not however, but going forward, I think to sum up, I think that the amount of feeling and emotion that was displayed in Senate on Wednesday, the 27th, was not appropriate, especially considering that this scholarship fund, this money, has not been accepted yet. And a point was brought up in Senate that the administration would talk to students before this was accepted. Meanwhile, in Senate, people were acting like it was on the fast track to being accepted. It is possible that this planning for this money was still in its precursor stage and was not yet ready to be presented to the students. I think it would be wise for the student body to have a little bit more faith in the administration to negotiate with this Board of Trustees member to act within their interest. What I mean by that is we were not talked to about this, not only because the money hadn't been accepted yet, but because I think the administration was also going to attempt to negotiate different terms to accepting the money, which is why it was not brought before us yet. That being said, my opinion is still the same. I don't care if it's the Mike Pence scholarship. I don't care if it's the, Mussolini scholarship. I don't care who it's named after. What I care about is it open to everybody equally, and how much does it pay for? Because honestly, it's more payment for higher education in which you don't have to pay back, you don't have to take out loans for. And years down the line, when you have your degree and you're working, nobody is going to look back at your financial statements from your college years and look down on you for accepting the Mike Pence scholarship. At least nobody normal. Within these activist circles, that might happen, and that is for you to deal with. Hopefully by then, many of you will have grown out of this phase. That being said, I am GZ, and this was Hanover Nonsense, Episode 1. For those of you outsiders who have listened to this whole video, let me know what you think down in the comments. Write me a wall of text. I'll read it and interact with it. And the same goes for Hanover students. Except Hanover students, I would prefer that you spread this around campus to everybody that you know. This is a way of reporting. This is a way of someone who is in Senate but not a senator reporting back to the campus at large. And I think that a larger sample of opinion would be a useful thing to have for something like this. That being said, if you write me a wall of text or throw a tantrum in the comments, I will read it all and I will interact with it. There will be replies. I probably won't go into full-on debate mode, as I do prefer debates through face-to-face interaction or over Skype. Text is somewhat limiting, so my answers and responses might be shorter, but I do encourage that you spread this around, and hopefully there will be more of these episodes of Hanover Nonsense to come. Until then, I've been GZ, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.